So, I suppose I should adjust this. I don't want people getting the wrong idea. That's an airsoft rifle. It doesn't fire real bullets or anything near real bullets. Um, Let me move my stuff around a little bit. A lot of the help that I get, I have to wait so incredibly long for it that by the time people finally get their heads out their asses and realize, yeah, I really do need you to fucking keep your word, it's already too late for it to make any fucking difference. Statute of limitations is over. The predator's already got away with it. Anyway, um, there's a lot of people who did really screwed up stuff, really bad things to me. That they're not bad people. They just did bad things. In many cases, it's not that they intended to screw up or intended to harm me in any way, shape, or form. They just didn't think of the consequences for others. I suppose I should pull out the rubbing alcohol too, because I just lit a cigarette. You see how it's got the blaze orange tip on it? That's because it is a airsoft gun. That's right. So the ammunition in this thing, it's all plastic. I mean, this thing weighs maybe 14 ounces altogether. But the clip in it, or the magazine, sorry, when you say clip, people are actually referring usually to stripper clips. And I can show you what those look like too. But basically, it's for an airsoft gun, it's a plastic tube, it's round, and it's, you know, whatever length long, and then it's got a little pusher, and you push the pusher in, and it pushes pushes your BBs in. But this kind of BB gun, it's super cheap. It's not a high dollar CO2 pushing thing or an even higher dollar custom air setup. This is just spring powered. It only fires one shot at a time, and there are these. You see how tiny that red BB is, and that's plastic. It fires at 300 feet per second at the muzzle. It doesn't actually travel 300 feet before it's getting pretty well slowed down, and I don't think that it'll make it 300 feet. That's the entire length of the football field. By the time this thing has gone 20 yards, 30 yards maybe, I'd be surprised if it was had enough pressure to actually do any damage or even be felt if you got hit with one wearing a hoodie. Um, Part of the reason that I got this, of course, is for firearm safety. There's an awful lot of people that I know who, well, they're stupid around firearms. One thing that's common here in Nebraska is high school kids going out shooting. You know, we're gonna get drunk and go out shooting. Mike Hudson used to live here in Chapel, Nebraska. He died. He got shot in the head with a 22 long rifle. Amy Kalina Kingery, aka Amy Spencer, um, she was there when he got shot in the head, and it fucked her up pretty good. That's why you never point a firearm at another human being. You know, they didn't shoot him on purpose. They were lighting off firecrackers and fucking celebrating. Now, something like this, this is for going out and plinking or for having on your wall because it looks like a military rifle. Like, yeah, hey, check it out. It looks cool. It looks cool. Like, yeah, sure. It looks cool. It was also the cheapest one that they had there. And I got this and a little pellet pistol, fires the same red BBs. And I got them both for cheaper than the next cheapest rifle. And they're not, like I said, not literal rifles. I mean, this thing's got a plastic tip in it. It's not going to hurt anything. Fucking, if I hit a bird, it would piss the bird off and the bird would come kick my ass. That's how weak this thing is. If I shot a mouse with it, the mouse would come up and kick my ass. That's how weak this thing is. You're not going to accidentally kill somebody with this. If you try to beat somebody to death with it, it doesn't have the weight. It doesn't have the heft. It's you'll break it, and the pieces that it'll break into will probably cut up your hand. This isn't exactly shatter resistant, you know. And check this out: the barrel bends. You see that? The whole barrel bends, the entire thing. You know what'll happen if you try to fire an actual bullet out of this? It'll literally blow up in your fucking face. That's another important thing to explain to you guys. One thing that I was talking to some Nebraskans here about, not the ones that went out and shot Mike Hudson in the head, but Nebraskans that grew up with firearms. They don't touch them. It's not a point of fascination to them. It's not a point of interest to them. They grew up with them. It's like, all right, so you got a gun. Big fucking deal. You know, they definitely don't give a shit about something like this. But they were raised, a lot of them growing up with a shotgun right behind the door, you know. And then there's a 22 long rifle sitting in the corner of the living room, possibly two of them. Antique guns that probably belong to grandpa or your great grandpa. And you can still go out and shoot them. They're still serviceable, you know, but you grow up with them. So there's no fascination with them. It's just like any other tool. And that's something that if you don't teach people, the first time that they have an actual firearm in their hands might be when they're drinking with fucking idiots. No, that's something that's fucking lethal. You can kill somebody on accident, simple as shit, with something like that. If you want to teach proper firearm safety, you get one of these things. And, you know, if your kid shoots the wall or shoots you or shoots themselves, they're not going to do any major damage, first of all. And second of all, that'll be an important fucking lesson for them. Hey, if I'd have handed you a real firearm, somebody would have fucking died. Don't fucking do that. Now, did I exercise proper firearm safety when holding that? But no, I didn't. Not even close. I just pulled it off the wall and showed you that it wasn't a real rifle. Now, there's a big difference between that and what I bought, thinking that that was. You got to read the package. The package on it says airsoft on it somewhere, I believe. Spring powered airsoft. Um, and it says 210 feet per second. I guess that's not very fast. Um, maximum range 22 yards. So, yeah, it's not going to go 100 feet. Oh, that's the pistol one. I guess the rifle one is 300 feet per second or 91 meters per second. Maximum range is 147 feet. That is over 100 feet. It's about half the length of the football field before it falls to the dirt no matter what. um, it'll hold 25 rounds for 25 cents, I guess is what it's saying. And it's um, spring powered. I mean, what more can I say? It says this person's name is One Pissed Off Gun Store Nella with internet access. "Hey Sean, how's it going?" Well, I'm still breathing. I'm about to show some other projectiles off. Now, there's some interesting links here on the internet, some shooters channels where they try all sorts of interesting, complicated crap to get around different stuff. Basically, the internet's version of, well, Dumb and Dumber or Jackass, in my opinion. But one good one is Tau Fledermaus. The reason that that one's the Jackass version of a channel and uh, another channel is Demolition Ranch. You would think by the name Demolition Ranch that he would be completely unsafe with these things, but no, he's not unsafe. This guy acts like a dumb shit, but when you look at what he does with the firearms, he pulls them by a string from a distance. Whereas the guy on Tau Fledermaus, like they speak a lot better. They're a lot, you know, they're more well spoken. Make you feel better? All right then. So this is a 22. This is not a 22 long rifle. Now I do have an empty casing for a 22 long rifle, so I can show you that if I can find it. I lost my card in here, I believe, somewhere, and I need that in order to make purchases. So I kind of got the place tore up a bit. Also, I wanted to show the fake firearms behind me so that people don't pretend like I'm trying to intimidate people with real firearms or what do they call that? God, there's a name for it. Menacing. That's what it is. The charge is called menacing. I don't want anybody thinking that I'm trying to menace anyone. Um, but a 22 long rifle shell, you can't fit uh, that BB in it and seat it. It's 22, but they're slightly different sizes. Oh, here it is. Let's see if I can. There it is. Perfect. All right, that makes it easy. This is the empty casing. This is what it looks like after it's been fired. Um, this is a rim fire. That's not to be confused with center fire rifle. The rim fire here, you see that little dent in the top? That dent there is where the primer hits it, and it sets off the little primer charge that's around the entire rim of this thing. And then you get powder that's in here, and that powder expands the gases, and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we have this 22 pellet here, and it's not sure if you can see this. It's already bigger than the cartridge. It's a different 22. Kind of like there's a difference between 22 long rifle and 223 Remington. They're both 22s basically, but there's a little bit of a size difference. Just a little bit, enough that it's not going to work. Also, these things tend to fall apart in the air, or you get some distance and they fall down. If you type in Tau Fledermaus, I think it's TAOFLADERMAUS. He makes, or they people from all over the world send him specialized rounds, and he fires them. There's a woman who fires, and 2 or 3 gentlemen who fire. Now the funny thing is that there seems to be a lot of people who are really, really insane and think that some of these ideas are safe. Like when they fire them from the shotgun, even though the other guy from Demolition Ranch, acts like an idiot, he's goofy and he's funny and he's entertaining, but he's safe. The guys on Tau Fledermaus, they're putting in these rounds that you shouldn't be putting through a shotgun, and instead of pulling a cord, this guy's got it right up and he's, oh, hell no, that ain't safe. Let's see. He typed, that's an AQX pellet. They're amazing for getting rid of raccoons. Well, I don't have anything that'll actually fire them. I thought I did. I don't. Um, like I said, I have a 22 as well. It's not a 22 long rifle. It's a 22 airsoft. But again, it's airsoft. When I try to fire one of these out of it, this thing's spring powered, mind you. One of these coming out of it goes about 10 or 15 feet. I mean, it's not jack shit. One of these little metal things is about 5 times the weight of one of those plastic things. I don't know if you've ever shot those against something hard, the little plastic BBs, but they're cheapies. And when they blow apart, you can tell there's little air bubbles in each and every one of them. And those air bubbles reduce the weight. Um, a lot of the stuff that I was working on, I had a project called Trash to Treasures and Airplane Enthusiasts. I was working on a lot of really cool stuff. But when I was looking at World War I airplanes, which, if I get interested in something, I want to know everything all the way back to the beginning. So when I got into aeronautics, I had to go all the way back to before the Wright brothers and look at how everything was made, how different countries did it different, how the Germans welded their frames in World War I on their airplanes, and the Allies were wires and wood and all sorts of cables. And man, once you know how to do something, though, once you know how to weld, once you got that part figured out, you can build some airplanes that'll hold up a lot better than them wooden airplanes. But them wooden airplanes, as long as you kept them maintained, you can keep them for a while. I don't like the idea of people getting killed, not even by accident. When it comes to people's lives, it's not something that I take lightly. I had another one in Trash to Treasures and Airplane Enthusiasts where I was basically trying to figure out how to take number one plastic bottles and turn them into a brick you can use for a lot of different stuff. I mean, they're just great. That type of plastic it is. I mean, we throw a lot of it out in the ocean, and we can go collect it from the ocean and build something that we only need to melt it down once. And we've got ourselves a house that'll stand for an extremely long time. Plus, there's stuff that we can put over it and in it when we melt it down to make it fire resistant or even fireproof up to thousands of degrees. They're, pretty impact resistant. You can fill these with all sorts of stuff. You could take cement and put in some Brillo pad with it and stuff it in there. And when it hardens up, I mean, you got something that'll take quite an impact. But another one that I had was swords to plowshares. That's where I took military technology and I tried to figure out a civilian use for it, like, avalanche removal, like they do in Switzerland. They use these big ass mountain cannons and they fire these mountain cannons against the side of the mountain and it triggers an avalanche. If there's a road there and it's unsafe for people to drive on, they'll trigger the avalanche and then they'll clear the debris and then it's safe to drive on and you can go on through. Um, and I really got into a lot of that stuff. It was pretty cool. Recently, I had the opportunity to get, in exchange for some labor, to get some military sights for grenade launchers. Now, this isn't the grenade launcher itself. This isn't the rifle that it has to mount to, because it's a rifle-mounted grenade launcher. Um, it's supposed to mount to a 1903 Springfield. There's like 4 or 5 different rifles it'll go on to, including the M1 Garand. They apparently used these things in World War II, and Vietnam and the Korean War. And I have one here somewhere. Well, I literally have 400 and something of them in here. But here's one hanging up. Sorry. Now, why did I get these? because I know people who are military collectors, and they do the whole, uh, reenacting thing. The thing is, these right here were made in World War II, literally during the war. So it's military memorabilia. Also, like I was able to get the money to buy them all from people who wanted some of them. So basically, by allowing people to get these from me, I was able to pay for all the rest of these. Now, what are they valued at? I mean, really, it's just military surplus. Who knows? Um, let's see. One pissed off gun store Nella with internet access type. What's your best or favorite gun that you have? All of my guns, I don't have any guns. Actually, I don't own a literal firearm, not a single one. I have the closest I got is this sight, and it's not even to an actual firearm, it's to a grenade launcher. Now, the other thing is, it's for a 40 millimeter grenade launcher. The ballistics on that are similar to those on a 37 millimeter grenade launcher. So you could literally use this kind of, you type like airsoft. Yes, my favorite airsoft that I own is the M16 variant or the AR-15 variant here. Um, Optimally, I would have liked to have the Vietnam era furniture, uh, just because there's a way that you can break them down. There's a lot of people out there who are like, all right, I'm going to take this and I'm going to break it down how I want it. With the M16 buttstock from Vietnam, you can actually completely hollow it out, and it's already hollow, which is really cool. But it also has a buffer tube and spring. Now, if you've got a 22 like long rifle conversion kit from CMMG, I believe, then you can actually remove that entire thing and replace it with just a plug that screws on the back. And that's really cool. Because like if you're into actual guns and you like to go out plinking or you go out hunting with it, which a lot of people say you can't hunt with a 22. Hey, if I'm hungry enough, yeah, I will. I don't personally own a 22 though. The point with these is that I've got 400 of them. They're all paid for. I don't owe a dime on them, and it wasn't even my money that paid for them. It's basically a gift box of 400 of these things, just for getting some for some people. And it's not illegal to own these. It's not illegal to show them or anything like that. They got really cool stuff on them. But one of the things that I was thinking about is what's a non-military use for them? I mean, sure, they can be used on airsoft. I can use this and probably, I'd have to adjust it according to feet instead of hundreds of yards for those lines there. But I could probably use this and stick it to the side of this thing and use it as a scope for that. But then again, what's the purpose? What am I gaining? What's the advantage? There isn't one. This thing probably weighs more than this thing. Between a pretendy plastic rifle and iron sight, this iron sight, they might be about the same weight. I think they're both about 14 ounces. Um, the reason I was talking about the 22 long rifle conversion and putting that butt plate on there, or the thing on the back of it, and replace, or in, instead of having the uh, spring assembly that goes into the butt stock and the spring tube, that would go on an M16. Let me show you on this thing. First thing you're supposed to do is check the action. There is no action, and if I pull this back, then it's actually going to put one of these in there. And this is stiff, so it doesn't want to come out. But on a Vietnam era, the stock was really long, and this is supposed to have a spring inside of this tube. The Vietnam era stock went to about here, and it tapered up to here. Now, you could literally fit everything from this part of the receiver back to here inside of it. And since they're open at the front, there would probably be a way that you could possibly make it so the barrel on the front would actually slide through the front port. I don't know, but the reason that I was thinking about this, sorry, the front port on this, the reason that I was thinking about that is because the survival rifles. You guys know the A7 rifle. If you don't look it up, it's one of the United States Air Force survival rifles. On the original M16, it had iron sights in the front and also on the handle is for carrying it. In the center, you see a center sight. Now this one is plastic, but that would have been similar in real life to this right here, except this goes to the side of it. I really do like guns. I don't like the idea that people use them for such terrible things. But for reenactment purposes, yeah, I got 400 of these things. You know, if I got people who want to do some reenacting or anything of that nature, you know, I mean, I'm not obsessed with them. I don't have to have 400 of them and hoard them for the rest of my life so that they end up at some point getting flooded out, salt watered, moistured out, rusted to crap, and then they're no good to anybody, you know? Also, a lot of those reenactors, some for the Civil War, some of them for the Vietnam War, some of them for World War II, they do help to raise awareness. You know, I mean, even a lot of you guys who are into total hippie peace and shit like that, you know, that's cool and all, but maybe you should listen to the veterans. Maybe you should listen to their stories of what war was really like, because most of them aren't warmongers, and after being through it, they have a different mentality than when they went in. Let's see. One pissed off gun store Nella with internet access type. They are actually commonly used for hand grenades and gas powered rifles for fire control groups. What are? Are you talking about the rifle sights? I can't remember what I was talking about when you typed that because I actually wasn't paying enough attention to when you typed it. Ah, the grenade launcher pieces. What I have aren't parts to grenade launchers. That's just the sight. There's a piece of paper that goes with it. I'll show you. I have a spare one here. Actually, I have 400 spare ones here. Um, this is what they look like. They come in this little pouch like this. It's pretty cool. It goes onto a not a spider belt, but a World War II webbing here. Um, this right here is the adapter on the side of your M1 Garand. That's what they had in World War II. You would drill 2 holes in the wooden stock, and you would put this plate on your stock. Now, when it was time to shoot, then you have this thing here. Now, there's a part on the back of this. It's plastic. That's just because I wanted to see what it would look like mounted on the side of a piece of a vacuum cleaner tube. Um, but it's adjustable. And the little ring that it has, let's see if I can get this one off of here. I might not be able to. This is what it looks like. That's what is in that little piece of paper that I just showed you. And that goes into this recess in it. Oh, I just dropped it. Why the hell did I do that? Is it because I'm intelligent? Probably not. Although I am intelligent, that wasn't an intelligent thing to do. You stick it on there and you turn it, and it's got these little ratcheting pieces. You can probably hear it. It's got a level on the side. It's got the front spindle or needle sight. It's actually a square post, and then the rear peep sight. But it's funny because you can adjust it like a bunch of degrees. And then it's got this thing on the back to adjust it as well. But It doesn't go anywhere near. It doesn't even touch the grenade launcher. It doesn't touch the grenade launcher or the grenade itself either. That's fired by an empty cartridge, which is inside of the rifle. You can only fire a blank cartridge when you're firing one of those rifle rounds. The grenades, they're rifle powered. You know, it's a blank cartridge and the powder burning from that actually launches it. One thing I want to say about a lot of these people is that their idea of fixing problems like I got is to ignore them. That doesn't fucking work. Sorry. No matter how many times you want to tell me that works, that doesn't make it work. I live in the real world, not some fantasy fucking world where everybody gets a fucking magic little My Little Pony with a fucking horn on top and it can grant your fucking wishes and all that shit. Yeah, we don't live with fucking Walgreens. Sorry. Um, a lot of people who screwed me over, it's not that they screwed me over because they were bad people, because they're not. Not even close. They're desperate people in desperate situations. That's not my fault. That's not my choice. I really don't have any desire to own an actual firearm. I have an interest in educating people on actual firearms. I don't think that you should be allowed to make laws about guns if you've never fired one. If you are so deathly afraid of firearms that you're not even willing to touch one, yeah, you're an idiot. And that's how it is. Now, there are things that are important. Like, if you don't know anything about gun safety, then I agree with you not touching the fucking firearm. If you don't know how to handle it safely, you should not touch it. You can kill yourself or kill others. Even if it's a plastic pistol, you should pretend every single time like it is a real firearm and do not point it at other human beings. Sorry about that, I have a stuttering problem. You do not point it up in the air either. You point it at the ground or at your target. Keep your finger off the trigger. If you are not shooting it, there is no reason for you to be on the trigger. Barrel at the ground. That is correct. That's somebody named Sandy typed that. Absolutely. What goes up must come down. If you shoot into the ground's a lot softer. It's a lot more absorbent. It'll eat the bullet. I don't know how many of you have been range shooting. They usually build a big ass dirt berm behind the targets. And when you shoot the targets, you got to go dig the bullets and the lead out of the dirt behind it. There's a lot of ranges. They have what's called range lead. What that means is they had some dude go through with a plow and then they sifted out all of the lead, melted it down, and made more bullets out of it. This person, one pissed off gun store Nella with internet access type preach, my brother. All right. Well, not trying to preach. I'm just trying to prevent people from getting killed. Whenever I hear about people uselessly dying from gun violence, especially when it's people that I know, it's people who are not educated about guns. They don't know the first thing about guns. They never had any business having a gun in their hands to begin with. You don't train somebody to use a gun with a real gun. Honestly. You teach them how to use a real gun with a dummy gun. If you have something that's got actual functions, like one of these airsoft pistols, then you can teach them the function of those parts. Like these do both have safeties on them. They both have removable magazines that work basically the same way as the real thing. I mean, You know, you can actually point it and shoot it. You can accidentally fire it. You can accidentally dry fire it. You know, if you're not paying attention, you can have problems with the thing. And you can do them without shooting a hole through the floor that goes into the neighbor's kid in the crib. You can do it without putting double aught buckshot through the wall into your neighbor sitting in his chair. You can do it without putting a hole into the back of Mike Hudson's head with a 22 long rifle. The reason that people are so scared of guns is because they're uneducated. Here in Nebraska, there's a lot of people who are scared of blacks and Mexicans. Why? I blame it on the fact that there's really hardly ever a black or a Mexican here. And obviously for good reason. KKK is just as alive and strong here as it ever was. Just people are a lot more in the closet about it. It's one of the things I don't like about Chapel, Nebraska. Now, if you notice, this is called a bandolier. It's normally filled with bullets and extra magazines and things of that nature. Of course, mine's got art supplies, and here I've got bright orange nylon rope, or paracord is what it's called, and then I got some black paracord, and basically it's a survival go bag. I got a screwed up bag, so I have to try to distribute the weight evenly. In case of nuclear war or something like that, it's important to have a go bag. You know, in case of an epidemic, it's important to have a go bag, something that you can grab and retreat off to somewhere where you can avoid whatever the complication is, or safely barricade yourself from it. Now I have gas masks. This is a gas mask. I don't have a gas mask so that I can go storming some compound. I'm one person and I'm not a fucking idiot. You know, a lot of people want to pretend I'm some crazy lunatic who goes out doing crazy shit all the time because I got a malfunction with my brain. No, I don't. You guys have a fucking malfunction with your brains. Thinking shit like that, and then you want to project it onto other people. Like, how fucked up are you? But that's not the only one I have. Now, why do I have more than one if I'm not trying to storm a compound? First of all, am I going to storm a compound with airsoft guns, bright orange tips? No. Also, where's the compounds that I would storm? This right here is an even better gas mask. If I can get it off of there. That one's Spanish. It's from around it's from the 1930s. The Spanish or not Spanish American War, the Spanish Civil War. This one right here is the United States Navy issue. This is way cooler. It's got this breathing can on. You know what? I'm gonna do y'all a favor and put this thing on. If you think I look scary now, you should see this thing. But this, in case of chemical attack or having to walk through town if half the population is dead, I probably don't want to be breathing the air. If there's a major pandemic, all right, I don't know if that was something. Oh, it was a fly that landed on me. I was going to say, I don't know if it was a spider coming down from the ceiling or something that compressed carbon, or not carbon board, but compressed wood fiber board was falling down or what. But it comes complete. You can actually get a tin with one of these in it. I have a man purse here. This is my man purse. This is where I carry all my stuff that's important. No, there's no firearms. I got stuff in here like memo pad for writing important stuff down. I got my emergency fire kit, flashlight, rape whistle with compass and magnifying glass for in case I need to start a fire so that I can keep myself warm or whatever. It's also got a thermometer on the back. This is my striker for the fire starter. I don't have any actual matches in here, but I do have 2 light sticks, different colors, one blue one and one red one, just in case of emergencies. I should have a green one as well, but I don't actually remember what all the signal colors mean, so I basically stick with the emergencies. And then, of course, there's my charger and a lighter, and I should probably take that lighter out of there. It's got a big hole, and I don't want anything falling through. And then it's got my iPad in it, and then it's got a little pad here so I can draw on it. But that's what that Navy mask goes into. I also have my welding mask. I got a stick welder in the mail finally yesterday, or no, at Walmart yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday, and I got it put away down here. I got some 16th inch rod because I don't need to weld anything big. I just need to put the molds together so that I can make my plastic brick. And then I should be able to make a plastic brick out of either two 20-ounce bottles or one 2-liter bottle. That's if I want to have them extra thin mold. But this right here, I don't know what this metal thing is supposed to do other than hold the mask in shape so that it doesn't get dilapidated in storage. It's just a piece of sheet metal with a hole in the center and a string coming out of it. Kind of looks like some sort of Silence of the Lambs kind of thing. But the mask itself, yeah, put this on like this. So you got this creepy looking tank on the back. Any of you who have ever seen the movie Fairies, yeah, you know what this mask is going to look like already. Got two tubes coming down. And of course, the can on the back, and it looks really cool. It was also really super cheap. This one is for optics. It's a U.S. Navy optic. Uh, it's actually, I believe, a rebreather, but I'm not for certain. That means that whatever the air that you're breathing, it'll recycle to a degree. Now, this isn't like a Draeger, which you can use underwater. This one won't do that. But it only allows in a little bit, and then it's got the ability to scrub out the carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide or whatever. Good. I'll put this thing away later. I have one more mask. The reason I have more than one is because you never know who is going to be with you or who's going to need one. I got a lot of friends who have kids, and I want their kids to be safe too, not just me and the other adults. You got to take care of the adults first, though, otherwise they can't help anyone. And like they tell you when you're in an airplane, always put your mask on first before you assist a child. If you're passed out, you can't help out that child. Let's see, one pissed off gun store Nella with internet access typed, I had a mother of two, a longtime customer, asked to try out a hunting rifle. She walked out to the range and shot herself in the head. Yep. And there's plenty of videos on YouTube of dumbasses doing that too. And they're not necessarily even dumbasses. They're uneducated. They're uneducated on guns, just like people here are uneducated about black people. And all the black people they do see, they try to run out. And then there's a lot of folks in town who try not to see anything. And they're like, well, yeah, dude, I never see nothing like that. I'm like, because you're not paying fucking attention. We live in Chapel, Nebraska, bud. Yeah, we've been on the news on multiple occasions for KKK activity. So it's not like Chapel, Nebraska and their racism is any kind of fucking big kept national fucking goddamn secret. And yes, this is Trump territory. All hail the Donald and whatever bullshit. I don't personally care who the figurehead is that we're going to blame for everything. There are 350 million Americans. It don't matter who you want to blame it on. There are 350 million people in this country. To blame everything on one person would be completely fucking ludicrous. Anyway, the non-military uses that I thought of for this, as long as I can get plumb bobs for cheap, 400 of them, um, well, they would be excellent for land surveying on your own personal property. As long as it's not something big and all you're looking for is the high and low spots, this is great. This is absolutely wonderful. If you're looking for an area of a river where the gold might have fallen in, you take something like this out there and you set it up on the shore and you have your buddy go out there with one of them sticks and have them stab it in the water and you see basically where it's the deepest. Now you could do that same thing by looking at your galoshes, but I mean that's take your galoshes, your rubber boots or whatever you got out there that you're sloshing in. Take a rubber wax or a wax pencil. They're usually red, but they come in multiple colors. Um, you just might have to look harder for other ones. Another type that you can use, it's the same thing. It's a photo marking pencil, but you can draw right on the rubber and you can wipe it right back off later. It's not like that's difficult. So I'm basically telling you that the idea that I had for this in the water with gold mining, you could do just as easily with um, rubber boots and a wax pencil. But I mean, I got 400 of them basically for free. So I don't know very many people with an M1 Garand. I know a few people who own them, but they don't want to mess up they have them converted over from being a military rifle to being what's considered a sport rifle, but they actually use them for hunting here. It's because it's 30-06. You can drop your game. Um, you don't need a second shot. If you miss what you're aiming at by just a little bit, it's not a big thing because the concussion of that round going through that is going to damage it enough that it doesn't matter that you missed the heart entirely by almost an inch. You're also going through the lungs in that case, and it's got about 20 seconds before it drops dead. It's going to try running, and it's going to bleed out because it's running. So if you got to go hunting for your food, personally, I hunt with a bow. I don't own a bow. If someone was to ask me what my favorite rifle is, I would say a bow. The other thing is because of my back problems, because the problems with my right shoulder, I can't fire anything higher than 35 pounds. I can fire a 25-pound bow. It still hurts like a motherfucker, but I can do it pretty consistently. Um, at the moment, I have no need to hunt anything, so I'm not hunting anything. I don't need to get a bow. I'd like to, but what's more important is getting a piece of property where I can be safe. One pissed off gun store Nella with internet access typed, I gotta go, man. Keep that hair manly and keep preaching me new shit. Stay safe, man. I'll show that. I'm doing my best to be safe. Anyway, one more mask. I also got the welding masks in here, like I said, and I got that welder yesterday. I had a welder and stuff down at Tabby's in Longmont, but her and I are not on good terms anymore. That has a lot to do with an alcoholic that was living with her, who was not a very nice guy. His name was Joshua Eichelberger. Anyway, this is on a helmet I pulled out of the garbage, but it's based on a pretty modern military mask of the United States. This is actually, I believe, an Israeli version, and Has a little tube on the side here. You can screw this off, and then you can attach it to, let's see if I have mine close enough to grab. Um, you know what a CamelBak is, right? For like drinking water and stuff. Yeah, you can attach your CamelBak to your gas mask so you can drink your liquids without it being tainted. Let's say you're in a chemical attack or something of that nature, and you're going to have that mask on for a few hours. You might have to change the filter a few times. You're probably going to get pretty thirsty. Also, your mask's going to get really fogged up. It's not something that if you keep on long term that it's going to just have perfect vision through it all the time. I do believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in your right to keep and bear arms. I believe in your right to keep yourself and your family safe. And I believe that in situations like mine, in situations like many of yours, where the government isn't going to do anything to help you, you're too broke for them to give a shit. Well, I believe in situations like that, you should be allowed to have a firearm to defend yourself against the great many predators that America seems to be breeding right now. But there are a lot of predators in this country. One guy was telling me, you ought to check out some of them snuff films. A lot of the stuff that you're doing something about, I really respect that, and I think you should, check this out, and it'll give you a different perspective. You know what? They don't give me a different perspective. They don't. It's just gonna fucking traumatize me further. Y'all know what those are, right? It's these sick motherfuckers who think it's cool to make rape videos about killing people. That is a big thing right now. People are really into that. So we've got like big name porn stars that are, making videos about getting raped by their dads and getting raped by their brothers and getting raped by the neighbor and getting raped by the woman next door and all sorts of shit like that. And then they got the ones where they're choked to death, where they're shot, or where people are having sex with them after they're dead. And I'm like, how is watching the videos going to educate me any better on the fact that those things happen? I don't want to see that shit. I want to put a stop to it before it fucking happens. And watching a video like that is not going to motivate me to work any harder than I am. I can't. Now, for me, I refuse to have a firearm. And a lot of people don't understand that. I mean, here in Chapel, Nebraska, I got people trying to give me firearms. Some of these firearms are over 100 years old. Some of these people, they tell me about the child molesters in their lives and say, hey, I'll give you a fucking rifle to go shoot the son of a bitch. No! You tell me that if somebody touched your kids in that way, you would shoot them right between the eyes, right? And then somebody touches your kids that way and you want me to shoot the person? No, you need to go to the fucking cops. That's what you need to do. If he beats on you, do not let it go. That allows him the opportunity to do it again and again and again. And with every person who lets him go, all of those people who he has dated and he has done these terrible things to, who let him go every time he beats on her, or let him go every time he gets drunk and rapes her. And then he does it to someone else and someone else and someone else. And we've got all sorts of women out there who hate all men. Because, let's face it, ladies, y'all tend to date in the same social group and you tend to like the same dude. The good looking guy, yes, I get it. You will turn a blind eye to the fact that he raped 3 of your friends and say, oh no, they must have been making it up because a guy that good looking doesn't have to rape anyone. You know, when he comes to have them expectations that she's going to have sex with him every time because, well, she's supposed to, she's his girlfriend or she's his wife, then he gets drunk and his expectation isn't fulfilled. He's got a lack of oxygen on the brain because he's been drinking. So don't fuck with alcohol and firearms at the same time. It is my firm belief that if you do drink alcohol, you should not be allowed to own or possess a firearm. There is a good reason for that. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a few of them to firearms. I lost a lot of them to alcohol. I lost a lot of them to drugs. And it wasn't even drugs or alcohol that I was doing. It was drugs and alcohol that they were doing, or their families were doing, or just some asshole on the road. People here in Chapel, Nebraska, you know, we got alcoholics here who start drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the whole town looks away from it. The whole town knows that these people are drinking, and they look away. Anyway, y'all stay safe. I'm sorry for rambling at you. I had a point that I was going to try to make, but I can't remember what that point is now. Um, it says my service ends in 7 days. All right. Well, I guess I'll have to deal with that. Luckily, it's just a Walmart trip. There's a guy in town who might let me use his vehicle, and if he does, I'll head up to Walmart tonight, or maybe tomorrow. He wants me to help him on Tuesday, so maybe he'll let me use the vehicle tomorrow to do my running around. I don't know. I got eggs and milk and stuff like that, so I got most of the essentials. I just got to write down a list of everything I need. That way, when I go up to get everything at Walmart, I can get it all in one trip. Be safe. Good night.